This week I'm going to be talking about the Runaways, the comic book versus the TV show, and there are going to be so many spoilers. So many spoilers. So if you haven't seen the show or if you haven't read the comic book and you are planning to, stop now. I have so many opinions on this, and I can start now by saying that I did not like the show. So if you did and you don't want to hear a lot of criticism about it, maybe don't watch this one. Also, yes, you can see my cats in the background sometimes. One of them is eating my shoes. Life with cats. Alright, I'll start with talking a little bit about what The Runaways is. The Runaways is a comic book, and it's written by Brian K. Vaughan, and I hope I pronounce his name right. I was lazy and did not look it up. I'm sorry. It's illustrated by Adrian Olfona, and it came out in 2005. I have read these many times. This is my full collection. It kept going after this, but Brian K. Vaughan left it, so I count this as the complete works. Joss Whedon did a run, but I did not like it. It was just so sad. He cannot get over everything being sad all the time, and that was super sad. So I don't count it as part of the thing that I really love. Okay, so what Runaways is about, basically teenagers discover that their parents are supervillains and they run away from home and vow to fight them. And then they do. Basic plot line for the comic. I have loved these comics for years and years and years, and there's been rumors about them making a show for, it feels like forever. They were gonna make a show, and then they weren't gonna make a show, and they were gonna make a show, and back and forth. And then I found out that they were making a show for reals, and I was like, I'm not really sure I want them to make a show anymore. How could they possibly make it good? And they didn't. I'm sorry. They didn't make a good show. And I'm not just saying that because it's one of my favorite comics and they made a show out of it and it's not the same. I'm saying they didn't make a good show. Even if I hadn't read the comics, I would not like this show, and I'm sad about it. I'm so frustrated because they had this amazing story and they could have just used that story and made a pretty decent show. But instead they chose to just take not even the basic premise of the comic. Not even that. I don't know. They took the names of the characters and sort of what they look like. For the kids at least. And then they made something completely different. And I am upset. So I will sort of try to explain my feelings on this. Starting with my favorite character of all time. Possibly not, but favorite character in this. Her name is Gert, and she has purple hair and is sarcastic and not skinny. I mean, she's a little bitter and angry, and I just love her. She has the best lines. They destroyed her. One of the things that I really like that happens in the comics is that Gert and Chase fall in love. Chase is sort of a dumb jock type, if you want to go with the stereotype. He's not book smart, he says dumb shit, he's not super sensitive all the time. But you know, he's not that in a bad way. Him and Gert do not get along at all. And Gert is sort of annoyed with him a lot, and they fight, and he says some dumb shit, and then they fall in love. And it's beautiful. I really like that story arc of them falling in love from having fought so much. In the show, Gert is some sort of angry feminist-ish person. Like a stereotype of an angry feminist. Basically, she's crushing on Chase from the start. There's an amazing scene, by the way, where she's like walking behind him and looking at his butt. And it's sort of funny. So, good job on that, I guess. But she's crushing on him from the start and she's not girt about it. She's just like sad. And I understand that she's sad, but that's not what I would like to see for this character at all. I hate that her feminism includes putting women down. She basically slut shames Carolina all the time, and it's not good. Okay, I'll move on. I don't feel like I can put into words what they did to my favorite character, but I really don't like it. Number 2, the parents. Okay, so at first I was like, okay, it's interesting that they want to focus on the parents as well. They want to explore their characters, they want to give them more humanity, and I'm fine with that. I'm like, yeah, sure. Give the villains humanity. I like things being grey, I like them not being evil. But what they did here is basically they focus so much on the parents that the teenagers' storyline becomes shallow and you don't get enough focus on them. I mean, it's already 6 characters that are supposed to be main characters. And then they add 12 freaking characters that you're supposed to care about. And it's not a long enough show. It's 10 episodes in this season. They could have either focused on the teenagers or on the parents, and I feel like they chose the parents for some reason. They made them not villains, basically. I am so confused about this, because in the last episode it sort of revealed that none of them knew what they were doing and that they thought that maybe they were doing something that was a little bit wrong, but that would help the world in the end. And then they were duped by this actual bad guy. I mean, one of the major themes in the Runaways is that their parents are supervillains. And you're just taking that and throwing it out. And I'm so confused. What are you doing? Okay, number 3. This thing I actually liked at first. It's the Chase and Carolina straight bait, as someone put it. They're faking out that Carolina and Chase are gonna be together. And it's sort of fun at first, even if it's hurting Gert a lot, which is sad. And I'm also confused because Chase is acting like an asshole about it, sort of. But yeah. So they're sort of like, yeah, Chase is going after Carolina, and Carolina's like, yeah, sure, blah, blah, blah. Carolina's gay, but she's just sort of coming to terms with that, I suppose. So she goes along with it for a little while, and I would be fine with that if it was like an episode or 2 maybe. But it feels like it goes on forever. They just go with it and go with it and go with it, and then all of a sudden, boom, she's with Nico, and I'm very, very confused. Basically, her and Chase are kissing in one episode. The next episode, Chase and Gert are having sex, because that's a thing that they do also. And Nico and Carolina are kissing. And I don't really know how they got there. Which leads me to my next point, the story. So I touched on this when I talked about the parents and how they're trying to do too much with the parents and not enough with the kids. That is one problem. Another problem is that the plot is, I would say it's too complicated. I don't have a problem with complicated plots. I usually follow along fine. Like, Sense8 is very complicated, but I followed along fine because they made it clear what was going on. They do not make it clear what is going on here. I do not understand what happened with Amy, for example. I do not understand why Nico is angry with Alex. There's a lot of character motivation that I do not understand. I would say they don't explore the characters enough, and that is one of my big problems with this. Another thing, it's number 7 here, but no, I have mixed it up, so who knows. Molly, they assassinate her character basically. The thing I like is that they made her Hispanic, which is awesome. The thing I don't like is that they made her dumb. She's supposed to be sort of childish. She's the youngest of the team and she's 12. And she's supposed to act much younger than that because she's like hiding her intelligence. But she's super smart underneath it all. Here she basically goes up to one of the parents and says, "We know what you did." And I don't understand. No one would do that. No one. I don't care that she's supposed to be... She's not even supposed to be 12 here. She's supposed to be like 14. That is not a thing that anyone would do. I just don't understand what they were thinking. I love her hats though, in a shallow add-on there. She has a lot of fun hats in the comics and they have brought that into the show and I love it. She has, one time she has a bandana with little ears on it. That is super cute. Okay, my last thing that I was thinking about was that instead of making the parents the villains, they make this other guy the villain. He's some sort of devil that all the parents have made a deal with without really understanding what they were doing, apparently. Even though you're led to believe that they knew what they were doing the whole time. I mean, they have been killing kids for I don't know how many years. Not 25 like in the comics, but they have been killing one kid a year for a long time. So, I mean, they're not innocent, but they think they're doing it for the greater good. And the only one who knows that they're not doing it for the greater good is this guy named Jonah, who is some sort of something. I don't know what he is. He glows. In the comics, he would be an alien because of that, but it doesn't seem like they're going with that. I don't know. He's some sort of completely new character that they made up, presumably to have a reason for the parents to not be evil. So they introduce him and he's all evil and actually evil and stuff. He doesn't get a lot of depth. He doesn't get humanity. And I don't know what is up with that. Alright, so now I have like completely murdered this. I will bring up some things that I did like, if I can come up with any. I liked the end scene of the final episode where they're like running away, all of them. And it's like in slow motion. And they're all sort of wearing character appropriate clothing. It made me happy. I love that Nico seems to be into Carolina as much as Carolina is into Nico. Which I love. I mean, I hope they're gonna introduce Sabin at some point, but I don't know how that would work since they're not going with the alien thing. I really like that they get to have a happy queer relationship. I love Nico in general. She feels the most like herself, I think. I like the added plotline of Nico's sister and her supposed suicide that turns out to be a murder. That is interesting and I actually felt something about that. They did not do well with it in the end, but yeah, it was good. I liked Old Lace. The CGI is not good at all. Both Old Lace, the dinosaur, and Carolina's powers when she lights up, they're but I liked Old Lace anyway. Yeah, I think that's all I liked for now. So, to sum it up, read the comics, don't watch the show. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in a week on Friday. Subscribe, like, comment and tell me if you watched the show, what you thought about it, if you read the comics, what you thought about those. And that is all. I will now stop being emotional on the internet.